Okay, hello students. I'm excited to sort of kick off this little info session and meet and greet with our CS team. I'm here on behalf of the full stack web team and I'm filling in for Andrew today. He said he couldn't be here. He wanted me to send his love, and I'm sure you could still reach out to him and find him in any shape. So iOS and full stack web, you have both just accomplished something really difficult. So you should be very proud of yourself for what you've been able to accomplish over the last 15 weeks and for, the months or weeks or days leading up to starting Lambda School. This journey of learning how to code and learning how to become an engineer, those two things aren't synonymous. Anyone can pretty much learn how to code. You can all learn the syntax and you can learn how to write code and write programs. It's learning how to become an engineer that the CS team really prepares you to become. So let me just talk to you a little bit about why we teach what we teach during the CS program, and then I'm going to let them muse over all the other things, all the other aspects, and dive deeper into that concept. So anecdotally, I just got off the phone this week with a hiring industry partner, and this individual has a company, and they're starving for young, energetic talent. And they're interviewing all sorts of candidates for entry-level junior positions. And he's actually interviewed with a couple of our students already. And he said the thing that most definitely sets us apart from any other institution out there is that we're not only providing those technical, practical skills of like knowing how to code, knowing how to organize, words in a text editor so that you can output operations, right? But also the ability to approach problems and solve problems. And he also reviewed our curriculum, and he looked at our content, and he said the very thing that separates you from any other boot camp is your CS program. And then he said anything that separates you from other CS programs is your core programs. So that would be iOS, full stack web, Android, data science, whatever it may be. So that's why we teach what we teach here at Lambda School. You focused in a really awesome skill set, which at this point, there are a lot of you who are very employable. You could potentially go start looking at jobs and say, oh, I actually know all of these things in this job requirement. However, it's the future-proofing of your career that the CS team gives you. And what do I mean by future-proofing? The ability to learn and adapt and grow into new technologies, new concepts is the thing that you are about to embark on. You've already proven that and scratched the surface with it, sort of superficially with what you've already learned, but you're about to embark in this journey that's the number one concept that sort of encompasses everything you've learned. You still get a lot more technical practice with other programming languages, but it's the ability to come to a problem that you have no clue how you're going to surmount and learning how to break that problem down into steps in order for you to be able to surmount that problem. So on behalf of the full stack web team and the iOS team, I want to introduce you all to these awesome, brilliant instructors, Beej, Sean, and Brady, and then Alyssa couldn't be here today. And I also want to bid you farewell and tell you that I'm always available. Andrew, likewise, we're always available. Just send us a shout out, send us a DM. Let us know how you're feeling in a couple weeks as you go through some of these harder concepts, because it's really exciting, and it's just a really fun part of your career. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to turn the time back over to Beej and let Beej take the floor and introduce his team and get you all rolling. So thanks for all the hard work you put in. It's been a pleasure. And yeah, continue to grow.
All right. Thanks so much, Ryan. Like Ryan said, my name is Beej. I'm one of the instructors here at the CS program. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that Ryan mentioned, and then turn it over to Sean and Brady to say hi and give their thoughts on this part of the program as well, and what it means to each of us, why we feel it's important. So for me, in this part of the program, the biggest thing I like to see is people learning how to learn. And the actual content, what we teach, we feel this stuff is important. But more important than that, I want people to learn how to learn new things. So you're in the midst of one of the projects here in the CS program and you're thinking, why am I doing this? Why am I ever going to need it in the future? Remember that the goal is not necessarily to learn how to do this one thing. The goal is to learn how to learn new things, and the way you learn to learn new things is by learning new things. So we do a lot of that stuff. We try to choose things to teach that are fun and useful in some sense and applicable in some way to what it is you work on. But at the end of the day, as long as you're learning to learn, then I'm pretty happy with that stuff. A couple other things we try to do here is demystify the computer a bit more. So we talk about some really low-level stuff. And again, the goal there isn't so much that you get out of the workforce and do this low-level stuff, but we know that people who feel that computers have been demystified they are more comfortable in their work environment. And when you're more comfortable in your work environment, you write better code more easily. If you know the machine's not some crazy black box that's about to explode on you at any moment. So we do some of that. And of course, a lot of this is practicing writing code. The more code you write, the better at it you'll get. And we will get a lot of practice with that. Some of the problems we tackle here are hard, and they're deliberately hard. The idea there is that if you stretch your brain with really hard problems, when you come to some of the easier problems that you'll get at work, you'll think, okay, well, this is a challenge, but it's not like that one time I had to write this thing at Lambda School of Computer Science. So when you solve these hard problems and you see that you can solve them, and you can, all the other problems seem a little less intimidating by comparison. One more thing I want to add before I hand it over to whichever Sean and Brady I decide to choose first. What was that last thing I was going to add? You're going to find me that I do this all the time. Like, one more thing. It's, oh yeah. It's before, when you were doing stuff with iOS1 or FSW13, you guys kind of went in depth into that stuff, like whether it was iOS programming or React development and web servers and so on. You really took a deep dive into that, and that gave you a lot of strength in terms of what you're going to need to do when you get to work. It's really important stuff to dive deep into and become expert level at. When you get to the computer science part, we're going to do a bunch of different things. Instead of going in depth, we're going to take a breadth of knowledge approach, and we're going to try all kinds of different stuff. The idea here is that we're going to build your web of knowledge of all these little things you know. And by the time you come out of these weeks of computer science, you won't be an expert in that one topic we talked about for that week. But you will have enough information to develop a sense of perspective between that concept and other concepts that you've already learned. And the more concepts you have in this big web of knowledge in your head, the more of that you can bring to bear to solve any arbitrary problem. So we go in with breadth, so that we build that skill of arbitrary problem solving, plus getting the perspective of saying, like we start with Python. Python's a pretty similar language to JavaScript, and certainly with Swift, it's going to be a little different, but it's not that different. Then we're going to go into C, and that's going to be kind of different. And the idea with C being different is that we're going to, again, get you that perspective on the stuff you've already learned. Like, okay, we've got my programming language over here I'm used to. On this end, the other end of the spectrum, we have C, and everything kind of falls in the middle there between these two things. And if you have the knowledge of what's on one end and what's on the other, then that helps you be more confident with pretty much any other thing that falls in the middle. So that's my pep talk, and I'm sure I've left stuff out, but I'm also sure that Sean and Brady will fill in any missing gaps. So Sean, go ahead and take it away if you have anything to expound. Introduce yourself.
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Sean, another computer science instructor here. I will be your first instructor, taking you guys through Intro to Python starting on Monday. So you have that to look forward to. My big thing, or I think kind of the theme that I kind of try to ensconce, is the importance of trade-offs, and that there's never really ever one right way to do anything in a general sense. So Beej talked about this a little bit, and the fact that we're going to be exposed to multiple different languages, to a bunch of other new tools that you guys have never seen before, and to kind of expand your horizons. And I think the really important part of that, about doing that, is that, you know, we need to largen your guys' toolbox, right? So a lot of things we teach, especially like data structures and algorithms, those are all tools that basically go in your programming toolbox. And what you'll start to get an intuition for is what are the right tools for whatever problem is in front of you, or whatever job it is you're trying to do, right? Because based on your current situation, different tools will be more fit for the job. And so, you know, right now you guys have, I think for the most part, learned a single stack, and it's great, and it works for a rather large class of problems, right? Because obviously the React stack is really good at writing web pages and things like that. But imagine if, you know, you for some reason get a job doing something else, then you need to kind of expand your toolkit and learn what's appropriate for that particular job, right? So that's another thing that we're trying to train you guys to get an intuition for. So I think that's a pretty important theme that also runs through why we teach you guys computer science. But yeah, I'll keep it at that, and I'll hand it off to Brady to introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Brady, also a computer science instructor. So I think that Ryan, Beej, and Sean have covered a lot of what I also wanted to share. But let's see, a few things that I think that are very important about computer science. Well, one thing that sort of in tech is a commonly, like people commonly look for in employees or in engineers, is what they call a T-shaped skill set. So that means you have like one long vertical skill, and then a wide like T at the top of other skills. So your deep skill is going to be like maybe React and web, things like that, or iOS, Swift programming, and then the top is, we're going to help fill that out. So that's going to be teaching you things like algorithms and like data structures. The way I think about these things, why we study them, is that these are really classic pieces of code. It's like, you know, if you're going to be a writer, you study Shakespeare, right? Like you see like these are the masterworks. Like if you look at a hash table, I think is a very beautiful piece of code, or it's a very beautiful data structure. It's just so efficient. It's so, the ideas behind it are really cool. And we're going to be understanding how they work and why they work. And these things you're also going to be using all the time as you develop. Like if you're using a JavaScript object, that's just a hash table underneath, and you're going to understand how that works. Now, let's see. Besides that, like as Beej mentioned, you're going to be learning how to learn new things. And as Ryan also mentioned, this will help future-proof you in your career. So right now, maybe you know your one thing, but you know, technologies are always changing. The code that, you know, the things that I learned back 10 years ago, 15 years ago when I started coding, a lot of those things, those specific technologies aren't around anymore. Or if they are around, they're not widely used. But one thing that you'll learn here is we're going to be throwing a lot of different things at you, and we're going to be throwing it at you quickly. And it's going to be overwhelming. Like you're going to be a teacup, and we're shooting the fire hose at you, you know, and it's going to be tough. But I think what you'll find as you get through it, once you get to the other side, is that you are really comfortable learning new things. And this means that if you're looking for a job, and you find the perfect company, but you know, like there's just a few small things that, like maybe it's not in Swift, maybe it's in Objective-C, or maybe you know, there's a React job, but they have Ruby on Rails on the back end. You know, you'll be able to learn those things. Or as you're in your company and they're adopting a new technology, 3 years down the line, maybe when React isn't as popular, they're moving on to the next thing. You'll know how to do it. This is also the thing that kind of separates junior developers from mid-level and senior developers, which will help you in your career later on. Because you'll need to know not just how to build something. Whoa. You'll not just need to know how to build something. You also need to know how it scales. So right now, you're building your stuff, you're testing it just with yourself or maybe a few users. But what happens if you have 1,000 users? What happens if you have 10,000 or 10 million users, right? You'll need to understand how your code scales, and we'll be talking about things like Big O, and other ways to analyze it. A lot of people also talk about imposter syndrome is a pretty common topic here at Lambda School, and I think while you're going through computer science, you may feel it a little pretty severely, but I think once you're on the other side, and once you're in a company, and once you're on a team with other engineers, knowing things like C, knowing, okay, now I understand how memory allocation works. Now when people talk about garbage collection, you'll say, oh, okay, wait, that sounds familiar. And you're not going to feel totally lost when they go into these sort of esoteric computer topics. You may even be able to contribute some knowledge to your own teams along those topics. So yeah, I mean, I think I could keep talking about this on and on, but we'll have plenty of time for that over the coming weeks, and I really look forward to working with you all and meeting you all. With that, I guess that's it for me.
All right. Thanks so much, everybody. And I will throw in a word here for Alyssa, who's out of the office today. She's the part-time computer science instructor. So you folks will be predominantly talking to me, Sean, and Brady, but you may come across Alyssa from time to time. I think that's about it, but I do want to piggyback on what Brady said about imposter syndrome. Everybody feels imposter syndrome. Even advanced software developers feel it from time to time, and pretty much anytime you get into anything new, this is when it comes up. You're like, man, I'm really good enough to do this. So if you're feeling it, that's okay. Just remember you're in good company, that everybody is. So, and lastly, I already said this at the beginning, but this stuff is designed to be hard. So if you feel like it's kind of kicking your butt, that's okay too. Just remember, instructors are all here, the PMs are all here to help out. We make it difficult on purpose. We understand that it's difficult, and we're here to help out to get it to make sense. So I think that's about it. Are there any last minute questions here? You can throw them in chat here in Zoom if you have them, with the caveat that all of us instructors here have a meeting in 5 minutes. Or if the questions come to you later, throw them in your channels. And it occurs to me we're going to have a CS13 channel for everybody. And I don't know if we have one yet.
We do. And I'll be adding everyone to groups today as well. They're new CS groups. So.
Okay. Caitlin, awesome. When we get our group assignment, Michelle asks, you mean are you talking about the Capstone Labs assignment? Because if so, I'm going to punt. I'll punt to Brian Doyle on that one. Brian says he's terrible at coming up with questions on the fly. Come on, questions now. I'm waiting through the typing. The FSW13 channel is not going to be deleted, but all of our conversation will take place on the CS13 channel. Yeah, the channel you're in now, FSW13 and iOS1, those channels they still exist. In fact, I'm pretty sure they're going to exist forever. So, all right, gang. If you have any other questions, just throw them in the channel, and we'll get to them. But we're all looking forward to it. So, no matter how hard it gets, don't forget to have fun. It'll be fun, I swear. All right, gang. Catch y'all later.